What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. We finally have our first official update on the USACC group build. This is on the 1969 Camaro. It can be a Z28, SS, Yanko, whatever. This year's pick was actually from Fred Henry, and well, we finally got a little mock-up, and you might have seen there's some changes that I thought I was going to do something completely different, but you know, some things have changed. So what we see here and what you see here obviously is going to be a Pro Street convertible. So this was actually a mistake, but I think it's going to work out at the end. So first things first, the first mistake was I wanted to make this into like a street machine. Not a Pro Street, but like a street machine type deal with custom wheels. So I was going to go with some bigger fat wheels in the back, and I started cutting into the chassis and stuff for the back wheels so I can fit the bigger wheels, and I accidentally kind of cut through the chassis, and it was too far from me to fixing this. So I was like, you know what, screw it. So we're going to cut off the entire back end and put on a Pro Street chassis, and this is where we're at right now. So this was not my plan, but hey, plans change, you know. If something goes wrong, you know, he can always fix it and do something completely different, and this is what we have so far. So this is just a quick mock-up, and it's just looking super good, and we're pretty much ready for paint finally, which is super good. So yeah, so Pro Street, and the way it's sitting pretty good. On the rear end, it's sitting exactly where I want it. The front end is a little bit wonky because obviously the skinny tires, they can't stay up themselves, but the front wheels will be sitting inside the body a little bit more farther to kind of like even out with the back wheels. So, but overall, the thing is looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and kind of cut into this thing. So you might see there's a blower sticking out. We'll show you the engine here in a little bit, but we do have some engine bits and pieces sticking out. So, but let's go ahead and just kind of take this thing apart. So the wheels and tires, these are the wheels and tires we're gonna go with. So these are just this front, you know, skinny wheels in the front, and then let's put out the back wheels. Okay, so. And here are our back wheels and tires, and these things look really good. So super nice, and these are gonna pop out. So really nice. They're nice, like 5-spoke wheels. So those are really cool. Not sure which way we're gonna paint it yet, but yeah. So really cool. So really scope out those nice treaded tires. Of course, for being a Pro Street, you know, you want some, you know, fat treaded tires in the back. So those look really good. So let's go ahead and keep on cutting into this thing. So we had to do some modifications to the body, or the hood I meant. Body was actually very good, but the hood, we just cut out our scoop for our blower to stick out. So that was pretty, you know, pretty simplified. And then here is our interior. This is how the interior is going to look so far. And we'll take it out more to show you some more bits and pieces. But we do have a 3D printed, partially 3D printed roll cage, kind of even up with the windshield, and that will kind of snuck in there. So that was pretty cool. So that is that, and then our seats. Again, we'll get to the interior here in a little bit, but let's go ahead and pull the engine out. So this is how she's going to sit, and the only modification we had to do to the body was the convertible. And where the convertible top, where it's down on a down position, that is kind of sloped down, and that prevents from the chassis from going down there, or sitting down, or sitting in properly, I should say. So we had to cut that through, but not too big a deal, because we're not going to see that ever again, because that part is going to cover it. So that is pretty cool, but that is pretty much the only modification we had to do to the body. The interior, again, looks pretty good. And you might see there's some putty in there, or, you know, bond, or whatever you want to call this thing, putty, like dough, like I don't know what you want to call it, but we had to get that in there because to line up with the chassis, but not too big deal. It's not gonna be perfect, not, like I said, not a big deal, because we're gonna do some flocking, and flocking is gonna cover that right up. But the interior does sit back farther. It does line up perfect with that. But again, this is just a mock-up. And then there is our chassis, looking pretty good. We got our front end assembled, and then the back end looking pretty good. So let's go ahead and just kind of take this out without breaking anything. So there's our chassis, and then we'll put out our interior like so. And then yeah, so here's our interior. So we had to do our, obviously, a seat back delete. Make sure this down a little more. So, but there's some of our putty. bondo, whatever you want to call that thing, and it looks pretty good. So it's even out, it's really smooth. So, but again, that's not gonna be too big a deal because we're gonna flock that anyway. And then there is the rest of your interior right there, so not a big deal. So it looks pretty good. But the chassis looking fantastic, and this is looking really cool. And here is our diff. So our diff will sit back here. It has a 5 or 4 link suspension on there, and then we got our pumpkin or front of the axle or diff, whatever we want to call it, separate. We might keep that separate. We might paint that in like a red or something, but that's pretty cool. And then we got a bunch of parts to the chassis. We got our springs here. We'll probably keep these separate. Well, definitely keep them separate, paint them a different color. But yeah, this thing's looking pretty good. So I'm really happy how this turned out. And yeah, that fits in there really good. So I'll show you the old chassis, what I did. So here's the old chassis. As you can see, I was trying to cut this so I could, fit the bigger wheel in there. Then I started cutting this. I'm like, that's not a big deal, but I went a little bit too far. I was like, yeah, that's not savable. So that's why plans have changed. So, but hey, pretty cool. It's been changing. So our body, pretty good. Nothing too major to talk about. Actually, that wasn't the body. That was the interior modification. So obviously no body modification I do. Just to the hood, and that's it. And then for the interior, for the rest of the interior, we are going to keep it all stock. I do want to run the stock seats. So we're going to keep the stock seats, we're going to keep the stock dashboard, stock steering wheel, basically try to keep the interior as stock as possible, because this isn't like a full-on Pro Street. It's just, take it down to a track like once or twice a year and have fun with it. And there is our engine. So we are using the kit engine that comes in the kit, but only thing we're going to do is add a blower. So I 3D printed this blower intake, and that's all we glued down. So we're gonna paint that or the engine color. I'm not sure we're gonna do Chevy engine orange or red or what the heck it is, or just do aluminum. I'm not sure, but that is looking pretty good. And here is our blower. So our blower will sit on there like so, and then we have our blower on top and stuff. So that looks pretty cool. So yeah, we're using the kit engine. It's a big block Chevy engine, so that's pretty neat. And of course we have some other bits and pieces we put for it as well, but that's pretty much about it. So color, if you're wondering about color, says Fred Henry's picked this kit, and we're basically doing what Fred basically loves. He loves Pro Street, so we're basically doing what Fred absolutely loves in person. So Fred loves red. So I have 2 reds here. So we got this rose so red here. I'm not even gonna pronounce that. That's like, it's kind of an Indian, or not Indian, that's the Italian name. That's like a flowery color. So we got that. Or I'm thinking of doing Peppy Red. And Peppy Red is bright red from Tamiya. Basically what you do is you use pink primer. So you put pink primer down. In this case, I don't have pink primer, I have pink paint. So we're gonna put on normal primer. I'm gonna lay down some pink paint, and then lay this on top, and that basically gives us that Peppy Red. I'm thinking of using this because this is much brighter red. Oh yeah, that's a much brighter red than the flowery color. So I'm thinking of using this one for the exterior. The interior, I'm not sure. We might go with a tan or some kind of light color. I don't want to go with black because I think that's gonna be too basic. So I kind of want to do something for the interior. Then the wheel color, I'm not sure. I gotta figure out. I gotta do some research on what wheel color works good on red cars. So, but we'll probably paint the wheels different color. Who knows? Maybe we'll do them black. But this thing's looking pretty cool. And again, it's something pretty good. Here is our exhaust. We had to cut our exhaust, so we're gonna drill these out a little bit. We might put some exhaust finishers, but they're just gonna peek out on the bottom of the exhaust, which you're never gonna see them anyway. But hey, maybe we'll show the underside when we go take it to the show. But other than that, guys, that's it. So hopefully we're gonna try to get this thing and paint by this weekend, if not next weekend. But it's pretty much ready for paint, and finally, so we only have a little bit more time left because it's the 20th, or it's actually the 21st when you guys are watching, when this video is getting posted. But we should get it done, and yeah, looking pretty cool. But other than that, guys, that's it for this video. We will have a painting video on this body when I start painting it and stuff. So we'll look up for that video. But other than that, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time.